Okay, we're gonna see some attendees joining, so we're gonna wait just a couple minutes to let more people get on, and then we'll get started. Okay, thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to have our second virtual information session, and I have Alejandro and Jaydev here to talk to you today. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you. So just a couple sort of housekeeping or business notes before we get started. We'll be sending you a resource sheet at the end of the presentation, so don't feel like you have to scramble and take notes if we're sharing links or anything like that. The presentation is being recorded, and we will share it via email with everybody who's registered. Anybody who didn't attend the first webinar or didn't get a chance to watch it yet, that's also available, and I'll be including it in the email that I send to you. You can feel free to put questions in the question and answer section or in the chat. We'll answer them at the end though, so don't think that we're ignoring you, just keep them coming and we'll scroll through and answer the questions at the end. I am going to launch a poll very soon, and so I'll ask you guys to just take a couple seconds. It's just a quick 2-second poll. If you could get that done for us, that would be great. We'd really appreciate it. And then real quick, I also just want to say that Allicyn, who was on the first webinar, is also joining us today. So if you have questions for her, she'll be available. And our next webinar virtual information session, I don't have the date yet, I'll get it to you very soon, but our next session is going to be with our customer success team, so people understand the kind of support and what you can expect after you actually receive a Trexo. So with that, I am going to let Alejandro take over. He's going to cover the first topic for us. Oops, there we go.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jen. So what happens after I place my reservation? So when you put down your reservation deposit, you will receive an email confirming your reservation and your spot on the wait list. And you will also receive a link to the Trexo Home assessment form. So this is the first step to get your Trexo Home. To be completely honest, it's a long assessment. It might take some time, approximately 1 hour or a bit more. But this is one of the most important steps to get your Trexo. So please complete the assessment as soon as possible when you receive the email, and please answer all the questions to the best of your ability. And the purpose of this assessment is for us to understand better how the Trexo Home robot can help your child. So when you prepare for this assessment, you will need a few things. The first one will be a measuring tape. So you can measure the hip to knee and knee to floor lengths. Another thing will be access to a phone or any device that has a video recording capabilities for you to take the video and pictures. If your child wears AFOs, please have them on when you're taking the measurements. And finally, you will most likely need another person to help you taking these measurements and the pictures and the videos. So our team, after you submit it, our team meets every Friday to review the assessments received, and usually the timeline after you submitted the form will be approximately 2 weeks. So you should hear from us after you submit your assessment in 2 weeks. If you require any additional information for this form to complete it, or there is something that is not clear in the form when you submit it, please let us know. We will let you know if we find something. And of course, this might delay the process just a little bit. So make sure you ask us any questions when you're completing the form. So once we have reviewed this assessment, you will receive another email from our customer success manager confirming that you have been approved for the Trexo. You will receive also the size of the Trexo that your child will use. And you will also receive the specifics of the Rifton dynamic pacer and the accessories required and the parts list. So in this first part of the process, during the assessment, the most common issues, experiences is sometimes the family does not have enough time to complete the assessment, and we totally understand this. It's a concern for many parents, and completing it without interruptions might not be possible. So you can start it and save it so you can continue later when you're doing it.
Great,
Next slide.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, so when should you get the Rifton dynamic pacer? So the first thing, for those who are not familiar with the Rifton, this is a gait trainer that is not manufactured by Trexo, but by another company called Rifton Equipment. And this gait trainer is necessary for the Trexo robotic legs to work, as these are attached to the frame of the Rifton. So the Trexo will only work with the dynamic upper frame and the standard base. And you will have the chance, when you're doing the assessment form, you will have the chance to select if you already have a Rifton, if you will get one through us, or if you will get one through your insurance. So if you already have a Rifton at home, please make sure it's the right one that we recommended in the approval email that you received from our customer success team. And if you're not sure, feel free to reply to that same email or give us a call, and we can help you with that. For families that do not have the Rifton dynamic pacer, you can either get it through us or through insurance. If you plan to get the Rifton through insurance, please do not buy it until our team has reviewed your assessment form, since Trexo sizes the Rifton differently than other DME companies. For example, even if a kiddo uses a medium Rifton at home, they might need a large Rifton to work with the Trexo. So please let us know about this, and make sure you order the one recommended by our team, and keep us updated on the process regarding the timelines for the insurance to deliver your Rifton. If you are planning to get it, the Rifton through us at a discounted price, we will place the order for you once we're closer to the delivery date of your Trexo, so you can receive both approximately at the same time, and you can enjoy the warranty that comes with the Rifton while using the Trexo as well. So we do offer families a discounted price, and this is because the manufacturer also offers us this price, so we pass it on to the families. One common issue that is experienced in this part of the process is that some families that have already the Rifton, they either have the wrong one, it's not the dynamic and it's the standard, or they have a different size. So again, if you're not sure which Rifton you have, feel free to let us know.
Great, thank you. Allicyn, could you cover this question for us?
Yeah, happy to help. So oftentimes people are asking, should I get my Rifton from my insurance? And honestly, that's just dependent on what's best for you. So typical scenarios I do point out is the obvious. Yes, you can get it from your insurance, but keep in mind, there could be a longer turnaround time, right? Some equipment companies are pretty quick, and it could be within 60 days. Other companies can take up to 6 months. So if you're on a quick timeline and for whatever reason you are trying to get your Trexo and we reach out to you and say, hey, maybe we had an earlier spot, you may want to consider going through us and taking advantage of our discount. In the event your child doesn't have a gait trainer right now, and you're thinking, yes, I'll use my insurance benefit to get the Rifton, also consider about what that could look like in the future, because typically your insurance is only going to cover one gait trainer for a certain period of time. So unless your child officially outgrows that, they're not going to cover two. It is an extremely rare thing if they would actually ever do that, and I've never heard of it. So if you want to get another gait trainer like the Kid Walk or the Crocodile or or something else for your child to use in conjunction with the Trexo for carryover, oftentimes it's going to be cheaper to get the Rifton from us because we do get that discounted pricing we pass to you, and then use your insurance to get that, kid walker, crocodile, or whatever other gait trainer you want to use outside of the Trexo, because it is good for your child to use the gait trainer, outside of the Trexo just for carryover to practice when they are ready. So that would be the scenarios for you to consider of ultimately what's best for you.
Great, thanks, Allicyn. And Jaydev.
Hi, everyone. Yes, absolutely. I think this is a very common question that comes up, and so this is something that was covered in the previous webinar with Allicyn on the pricing aspect, but I just will briefly touch over the pricing, but more on the payment structure and how this works. So generally, at the end of the day, I always tell customers, ask as many questions as possible regarding the payments, because we understand it's an expensive purchase. So we would help you in telling you how you manage your payments, whether it's purchase or a lease. So just getting into it, I would say talking about purchase, we just have two prices. So the small and medium Trexo is $34,900, and the large and extra large Trexo is $39,900. And as Alejandro mentioned before, the sizes are determined when you submit the assessment to us. And when we review the assessment, we tell you, okay, this is the size that your kiddo will fit in. And based on that, these are the purchase prices that you can see. Talking about the lease, so the lease option is not typically like your car lease that you would say. So with Trexo, the lease option is the lease to own. So any money that you put in towards the lease payments on a monthly basis can actually be used towards owning the device at the end of 3 years. So again, talking about the sizing and what the lease payments are. So for the small and medium, the lease payments are $999 a month. And for the large and extra large device, it's $1099 a month, plus any applicable taxes that your state might charge. For Canada, there are no taxes on this. For US, the taxes vary from state to state. Going deeper into the lease options and how things work. So the lease term is renewed every 12 months. So once you get into a lease, you get into a term with us for 12 months. At the end of 12 months, you have the option to either you are automatically renewed for the next year. You have the option to opt out of the lease, or you have the option to either go and buy the device out on the residual value that is left on the lease. So all the payments that you made in those 12 months will actually be added up towards buying the Trexo. So if you continue the lease for 3 years, that is 36 months, then you actually will own the Trexo Home device. Another question in the process that comes up pretty often and people ask is, I have funds coming through various organizations. I have someone who wants to donate money towards my child's Trexo. So we do have those cases from time to time. And if there are any odd payments like $500, $4,000, $1,500, we can send an invoice to whoever wants to make that payment towards your child's Trexo, be it a foundation, be it an individual, and we can apply that on your account so that and we can charge your future lease payments from that money that is added up on that, that people are putting towards your child's Trexo. So no matter what option you choose, you get like a 3-year warranty. So sorry, for the purchase, it's a 3-year warranty. With the lease, if till the time you're in the lease, you are covered with the warranty period. And having a warranty essentially means anything that goes wrong with the device, we ensure that we take care of it. We ensure that our customer success team ensures to fix everything within the lease period, within the warranty period, and it comes at a zero cost to you. And Trexo engineering team puts in a lot of hard work and effort in improving the device, improving the technology, and we are accountable if anything goes wrong. But hardly things go wrong, but when they do, we are accountable for it, and we do that at no additional cost for you. And we are a small team at Trexo, and we are trying to make a big impact, and we stand by it. I think we can move forward on this. If
Can
we
I
can
just
take
mention one thing there? I think it's obvious, but I always like to point out that yes, things are covered as long as it's not something like my child dumped water on it, it fell down the stairs, like things like that. Then it's not covered.
Yeah, that's correct. So in case any issues that come from our end, everything's covered on the Trexo till you're on the lease, or even if you have a purchase, it's 3 years. All right. I think this is an important step. What are the steps when we get closer to the delivery of the Trexo Home device? So once you place a reservation deposit, our sales team, Allicyn, would have told you, hey, this is the month that you can expect the device to be shipped to you. And it will also depend on the position of your position on the wait list. So we always push families to complete the initial assessment on time, because that is the most important aspect. And that is completing that on time will help you prepare more for what comes next, be it the Rifton size, be it the Trexo size, be it managing finances, or getting some time to, if you need to get some funds from other organization, this is the period that you would need to do all of it. So as we get closer to the production, to the delivery date of the device, we will reach out to you 4 to 6 weeks before shipping, and we will do a pre-delivery form. And we understand, once, suppose someone made a reservation in Jan 2022, and they are getting the device next month in July 2022. So at this point, the child might have grown and the measurements might have changed. So we send this pre-delivery form, and we take the updated measurements of the child, and also ask if there is any health information that might have changed in this whole time period. So based on that, we review the measurements, we review everything, and we determine if anything has changed, or if the child has grown, would the child need a larger Trexo device, or would the Rifton size would have changed, and all of that. So we will inform you of that. And the next steps would be, we will send you, once that the pre-delivery is approved by our customer success team, we will send you agreement, be it a lease or a purchase agreement. There is nothing to be done. There is no physical paperwork that needs to be done. Everything is done electronically. So we'll send you this electronic agreement. We'll send you the invoice, initial invoice for the Trexo if you're getting the lease. And if you're getting the Rifton through us, the delivery timelines of the Rifton is 2 to 3 weeks for delivery in the US, and 4 to 5 weeks for delivery in Canada. And once we do that, and the Trexo and the Rifton is delivered, we will send you the assembly instructions. And once the assembly instructions are given to you, we will also set up a training date with our customer success manager. And all trainings of the Trexo are done virtually over Zoom. And it's a 3-hour virtual training that is done. And in that training, I think we'll discuss more of it in the coming webinar. So just make sure you attend that to get more information on the training part of it. But in that training, we'll go through the process of using the Trexo. And the day the training is done is the first day of your lease start period. So even before you receive, even if you received the Trexo and Rifton before it, once your child gets in the Trexo on training date is the first day of when your lease starts.
Great, thank you.
One thing I just like to note about assembly, just for those that don't know, because it can sound very intimidating when we say you're assembling your Trexo, just know that the robotic legs do come built. So what you're actually assembling is you're attaching the robotic legs to the frame of the Rifton. So it is a fairly simple process. There's no you building robotic legs or anything like that.
And also just an additional note, we do provide you with good instructions. We're actually just about to be filming some brand new video. So you guys will definitely have the support that you need for building that. Alejandro?
Yeah, thank you. So let's talk a little bit about international families, because we have been talking about Canada and the US, but for international families, the process is fairly pretty much the same. There are two main differences that international families will need to take into account. So the first one is that there is no lease option available for international families. And the second one is that in most cases, Trexo cannot ship the device to your home country. So for the moment, we can only ship the Trexo Home device and the Rifton Dynamic Pacer, in the case you get it through us, to Canada and the US. And there are other 7 countries only that we can ship internationally, which are Australia, Bahrain, India, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, and Switzerland. So we can also ship the Trexo, as I mentioned, to these countries. However, we do encourage speaking with your local distributor or your insurance to get the Rifton, since the shipping cost might be a bit high depending on where you are. So this is something to always keep in mind before ordering the Rifton through us for international families. So, but what other options do international families have if they are not in any of these countries? So one of the options that we like to offer is that the families can travel to Canada. They can actually visit us in our offices, and they can pick up the Trexo and the Rifton in our offices. Another option would be for any family to provide us with an address in Canada or the US of a friend or a family that they want us to ship the Trexo and the Rifton. So you can provide us the address, and if it's in the US, depending on the state, as Jaydev mentioned, taxes may apply to the purchase, but this will be informed in due time. Another option is to have these Trexo and Rifton shipped to an address for a shipping company within Canada and the US. And then the shipping company will manage the shipping to you in your home country. And finally, another option that we also offer is that the family may schedule a pickup using a carrier company such as UPS or FedEx or DHL directly from our offices. So this company would come to our offices, pick up the device for you, and then they would be able to ship it to you. So please keep in mind that for each of these cases, there can be import fees applied to in your home country. So do your research before, so you can be aware of these ahead of time. And one last thing to note for international families is that the Drexel Treadmill, which Jaydev will talk about a bit later, can also be shipped directly to your home country.
Great, thank you. It's good information. Jaydev?
All right. So this is an exciting study. So there are currently a lot of studies running for with the Trexo device, but this is one study that Trexo Home users can actually participate in. So essentially, this study is being done, conducted with University of Calgary and the Alberta Children's Hospital. And this is the study, as you can see, it's characterizing use of the Trexo Home and any psychological changes. So the study has been going on for almost a year now and will be wrapping up soon by end of this year or early next year. And essentially, this is to assess the impacts of using the Trexo Home, which we hope will be beneficial for you and your child's clinical team. So the results from the study may be useful to actually share with groups that provide funding equipment for your child in the future, such as insurance companies or trust funds. So you can mark in the assessment form that you fill up before that you can mark if you want to participate in the study, and accordingly we'll reach out to you. So the study aims to understand the usage and impact of using the Trexo Home device. This includes emotional changes, physical changes like head control or head position, and other changes like bowel movement, sleep. I know like families are busy, but we are grateful to all of our current customers who take the time to fill in these assessments. So to take part in the study, it's a simple process. You let us know in the assessment form that you want to be a part of the study. There are 4 assessments that we do, and each assessment is around 40 questions. So there's a baseline assessment before your child gets the Trexo Home device. We do an assessment at 1 month, 3 months, and 6 months to essentially see how to understand the Trexo usage that your child is doing, understanding the functional mobility scale, the bowel movements, the sleep disturbance tracking, and the impacts of using the Trexo. And what we've seen so far, and this is still in preliminary stages, is that we've seen better bowel movement and sleep in most of our Trexo Home users. So that is something that we are getting early on from the study, and which is very consistent with everyone who is participating. Once the study gets wrapped up, we will be able to provide more information on what we have seen and publish papers on this. But anyone who participates in the study will also receive a personalized report for their child, mentioning each and everything which they have seen improvements in and how Trexo device has helped them. And again, as I mentioned before, this can be used to gather funding for future equipment for your child through insurance companies or trust funds. So if you want to be a part of the study, just make sure that you make that check mark in the assessment form that you're submitting while after the reservation. All right. This is an interesting addition to the Trexo home accessories, which is the Trexo Treadmill. And this has actually been a hit with families and everyone is loving it. It's very beneficial to use when you stay in an area where there are unpredictable weather conditions, or there's like snow in the winter time and you cannot go out, or if there is a lack of space within the home, or with using the treadmills, we have seen that parents can actually do more of like regular sessions with their children in the treadmill, and it's easy for them to set it up. And currently it works with small, medium, and large Trexo sizes. Our team is also working on getting this with the extra large Trexo and Rifton. So essentially any size of the Trexo that you get, you can have the Trexo treadmill at home. And if there is anything else that you would like to add here, Allicyn, on the Trexo treadmill.
Yeah, I'm sure. The one thing I'll say is it is a manual belt, so there's no electrical component to it. Oftentimes, also families will ask, can they just use a treadmill they have? Unfortunately, no. We did try to find a commercial option, but we could not find one that would accommodate the robotic legs and the battery box. So we did have to build it for that reason. And as you can see, it rolls on top of the treadmill and you lock the wheels and you start the Trexo just like you would with overground walking, except they're walking on the manual belt.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the treadmill.
Great. And so now I think Jaydev's just going to run us through a little summary of some key points, but I just wanted to share some of our great photos of the kiddos. And I also wanted to just point out real quick, you'll notice in the bottom left, we were so thrilled recently to hear that one of the kiddos using a Trexo was actually able to be a flower girl and walk down the aisle in a wedding, which is just a really special moment. So hope you enjoy the pictures, and Jaydev, you can give us a little summary.
Yeah, absolutely. And this collage looks amazing. All right. So just a quick recap, what happens after you put down a reservation. So once you put down a reservation, it's very important to complete the assessment form, and we ask that you complete this in the first 30 days. If there is a delay in completing it, please let us know so that we can ensure that we keep you on that wait list on the same spot. In case we do not hear from you, and we understand sometimes like your families are busy, everyone is busy, and you as parents have more than anyone on their plates. So it's totally all right. And it's a long assessment form. And just I think Alejandro also mentioned in the assessment form, there is a button to save and get back to it at any point you want. So I would just recommend just fill it on a daily basis, and probably in 4 to 5 days, you'll be able to complete it. The next step after we review the assessment form, we will take 2 weeks. And after reviewing it, we will provide you with the size of the Rifton dynamic pacer and the accessories that you would need. So if you're getting it through us, please let us know. If you're getting it through insurance, we would provide you with all the accessories and itemized list of the Rifton dynamic pacer things that you would require. And after that, as we get closer to production delivery dates, we will send you a pre-delivery form to get the updated measurements for your child. And once we get that and that has been approved, we will send you the agreement for your review and the invoices for the lease payments or the purchase, whatever option you are going with. And once that is done, and we will ship the Trexo within 4 to 6 weeks after the agreement and the invoices are completed. And we will share with you the tracking information, and we'll set up the training dates that work for you. And this will be a 3-hour virtual training. And as I said before, the first day of the training is the first day your purchase or lease date starts and the warranty period starts with the Trexo. So that's pretty much it on the process. Happy to have any questions. I think maybe Jenn has received some questions already.
Yeah, I'm just going to go through a couple other things and then I'll open it up to questions. So
Jen,
just
can I point out a couple of quick things too that I'm not sure if were mentioned, but I know they're really important, and maybe Alejandro mentioned it just with regards to that Rifton. A lot of times we want to be proactive as parents, but it is really important to wait until you get that message from us around the sizing of the Rifton. So we tell you specifically what size and accessories are needed, because we don't want you to have the wrong size for your Trexo, then have to deal with insurance and getting things sorted out.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Okay, so just wanted to make sure everybody has the information that they need to contact us. And again, this will be on the resource sheet. You can email us. We do have a Canadian and US phone number. You can call or text us. And you can also connect with us on social media. We're really responsive, regardless of how you choose to contact us. Thank you. So now I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we're going to open things up for some questions. I just want to say really quickly, we appreciate you spending your time with us. We understand this is a big purchase and it's something that really means a lot to you and to your child. And so we're here to make the process as easy as possible. The purpose of these sessions is really to give you some insight into what it will be like. But there's no reason that you shouldn't reach out to us. If you have any questions or concerns at any point, we're always happy to address those and to make sure that we're supporting you. Okay, I'm going to start going through some of the questions. Okay. And so I see, what happens if my child grows out of the equipment in the 3-year lease process?
Allicyn, do you want to talk about?
Yeah, happy to talk about that. So it's really, we'll kind of start out as if your child starts with the small. If you do have the option, Jaydev, I'll let you talk about if it's during the lease process, but this is just in the event you need to upgrade in general. I'm going to throw these numbers out there. If you go from like a small to a medium, instead of purchasing a whole new device, you have the option to upgrade to, let's say, the medium, and that's a $2,500 upgrade fee. If you go from medium to large, it's a $7,500 upgrade fee. And if you go from large to extra large, it's $2,500. The bigger fee from medium to large is because we do have to get the bigger motors at that point, because your child is bigger and stronger and needs that additional support. And the other thing to note is the small and medium Trexo works with the medium Rifton dynamic pacer, and the large and extra large having to get a size Rifton one time in this process. But if it is in the middle of a lease, if you don't want to upgrade, Jaydev, I'll let you kind of talk about what that could look like, depending on where they're at in their lease.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a scenario, and generally while we're doing the assessments, we based on the experience of our customer success team, they anticipate what the child would require in the next 6 months to 1 year, and based on that, we generally do the measurements and everything. So we want to make sure, like, it's not like you get the Trexo and the Rifton, and within 3 months you would need a size upgrade. That rarely is a case that would happen. So in a case that the child has gotten, we determined that you need a medium Rifton and a medium Trexo, and say after 10 months or a year, there's a growth spurt, your child might have grown, and we feel that the Trexo size needs to be upgraded. Then in that case, either you have the option to pay the fees that Allicyn is talking about, that is 2,500 or 7,500 based on the sizing. But there is another option based on you can also restart the lease with the new size. So it depends, to be honest, on where you are in the process of your lease. If you are at the end of your lease, I would say it makes more sense to pay the upgrade fee. If you are early in your lease, it makes more sense probably to start a new lease with the new device. But it's not like you have to pay again for the whole, even if it's a purchase, you won't have to pay the whole amount. It's just these upgrade fees, and we take the existing legs back and we ship the new Trexo upgraded legs. And the upgraded legs, the large and the extra large, have like upgraded motors which will support the height and weight of your child and are differently built than the small and the medium ones.
Great, thank you. And I'm going to share with you guys all the questions that have been asked, even if they've already been covered in the presentation, just so that everybody can clearly get the answer. So Amanda has asked, what is the price of the treadmill?
So the price of the treadmill is $1,000 plus shipping and any applicable taxes based on where the state is. So yeah, that's $1,000 for the treadmill. And for international customers or Canadian customers, the same. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If there are any other questions on the treadmill.
No, that's it on the treadmill. So another question though on pricing is the pricing that's been mentioned throughout the presentation in US or Canadian dollars?
Yep, that's a good question. I'm happy to answer that. And honestly, it's just dependent on where you live. So if you're in the US, it's US dollars. If you're in Canada, it's Canadian. And from an international standpoint, if you're outside of US and Canada, it's in US dollars.
Great, thank you. And then the next question is the Trexo working with tense system or only movement?
Sorry, tense or tens?
Tense.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I'm wondering.
Can you provide more clarification on it, whoever asked that?
Yeah, let's see if something comes in. I'm thinking, since it mentions tense and then movement, maybe it's talking about like their legs, their ability to move their legs, and if they're tense.
Oh, okay, okay.
More
like
around the strength.
Well, basically
Sorry.
what I can say, it kind of just, I guess, robotic legs in general, the child doesn't have to be able to initiate in order for the Trexo to go. There's different features in the Trexo, like called support force, which is a scale of 1 to 10. Level 1 is the equivalent of the child has to help the Trexo complete the step in order to go. Level 10 is the max assistance that they can get. The support force is adjustable at the hips and the knees. Left and right side can all be different. So you can have 4 numbers that are all different of levels of assistance. You're able to see on the tablet how much the child's initiating versus the Trexo, and that's actually per leg. We just did a recent update that will show you left leg versus right leg. But essentially there's sensors at the knee and hip joint that's giving feedback to the tablet, letting us know what's going on.
Thank you. And yes, I did just receive clarification, and that is what they were asking. So thank you for answering that, Allicyn. If anything's not clear, you can definitely still feel free to submit another question. Okay, next question. What is the discounted price on the Rifton?
Yeah, I can answer that. So for the Rifton, it's approximately 30 to 35% on the retail price.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, and then I think we may have covered this, but this is super important, so let's make this really clear. Who would they talk to if they had questions while completing the assessment form?
Yeah, so whenever any family, any parent has any questions, they can contact me or Jaydev directly. They can also contact Allicyn with any questions they have during this process, and we will make sure to reply as soon as possible.
Great, thank you. Okay, and then another question. If we have the Rifton standard pacer, can my child use that with the Trexo?
I'm happy to answer that one too. Unfortunately not, you will need the dynamic pacer because for the Trexo to work with it. So if you have the standard pacer, let us know, and for us to let you know if you should order the dynamic one.
Okay,
And on
great.
top of that, though, what we can also look at is the possibility of, depending on the size of that Rifton, maybe it's as simple thing as getting you the dynamic upper frame. Like if you have the standard base and it's the appropriate size, and maybe you have the right accessories, we might just need to get you the dynamic upper frame. And if you can't get that from insurance, you can always get that from us. So it is best to just connect with us and show us what you have.
Right, and also if you just order it or you just received it, maybe you can talk to your insurance and have this swapped. It has happened in the past, so this is something else to also consider.
Okay, and then we have another question related to the Rifton. Can I lease to own the Rifton through Trexo?
So at the moment, no, we pass on the discount that we get from the manufacturer, but we do not have this lease to own option with the Rifton. We're always looking into ways of helping families, and this might be an option in the future, but not at the moment.
Okay, great. And then in terms of, it looks like the training is another question here. What happens if I'm not available for the assigned time for my training?
So I can take that one. So in case we generally set up the training before the delivery, and we set it up based on when the Trexo will be delivered. So in case there is any changes or the time does not work, we will be happy to reschedule trainings, but generally our training slots are pretty booked. So we give the first available slot that we have to the customers.
Great, thank you. Okay, let me see, take a quick second to scroll. Okay, are there taxes applied to the lease or purchase of the Trexo?
Yeah, I can talk more about that. Yes, there are taxes applied depending on where you stay. As I mentioned before, in Canada, there are no taxes on medical equipment. So Trexo Home device is approved in the US by FDA, approved by Health Canada in Canada, and even the Drexel Treadmill is approved by FDA and Health Canada. So in US, the taxes work very differently for different states. Some states like California would charge taxes, but some states like New York would not charge any taxes. But whereas some states like Michigan would charge taxes, but if you can get a prescription saying prescribing the Trexo Home device, then the device becomes tax exempt. So at the time, we can let you know what the current situation in your state is, and accordingly, the taxes would be applicable on purchase or monthly lease payments.
Great, thank you. Another thing that I wanted to ask you guys about, and this is actually coming from me, as I go through these informational series and I see the questions that people are asking and the great answers that you guys are giving. One of the things that strikes me is that when people place the reservation, there's still a lot of unanswered questions. And in many cases or scenarios with other things in your life, that might not be good. But in this particular scenario, that's, I think, okay, because this is a complex, sort of a lot of different moving parts. And you guys are really there to sort of handhold and help them figure out the rest of the details. So I guess it's less of a question and more just looking to sort of make sure that we properly convey that to people so that they understand that they don't have to know everything about the process and every decision and things like that. You guys are there to support them.
And the other thing that's reassuring is when you guys place your reservation, just know that once we get through the assessment and if we determine it's not a good fit, we will let you know and we would refund that deposit back to you. So we are doing our due diligence to make sure it's safe and appropriate and that it is going to benefit your kiddo, because we don't want to sell it just to sell it. So you have that option. And then also, if you change your mind at any point when you're on that wait list, things change so quickly with our kiddos, you have the option to let us know and we can refund that back to you. And you even have the option to delay. So if, again, things come up, you just need more time, or you find out your kiddo has to have hip surgery and it's going to happen in 3 months, well, we can delay shipment of your Trexo and line it up to when they've recovered and you have clearance and you can use it more in like that post-rehab setting and then they can continue to use it from there. So just know you have a lot of options, just communicate with us.
Great, thank you. And we just had another question come in. Is it possible for a family member living in the US to take on the lease for an international family? If no, why not?
Unfortunately, no. If the Trexo is going outside of the US or Canada, it does have to be paid in full. And there's just a lot of red tape for us with tracking devices. It's a very expensive device, making sure we get it back. All of those things go into play there. So it does have to be paid in full.
Great, thank you. And
I just briefly wanted to mention, and I think we did not mention this. Whenever you get the Trexo, you have a 2-week trial period with the Trexo, and I think Allicyn can mention more on this.
Yeah, sure, happy to. So when you complete training, as Jaydev had mentioned, that starts your 2-week trial. If in that 2-week window you guys decide it's not a good fit or you're not happy with it, let us know. We'll schedule a pickup, and when we get it back, we'll refund everything you've paid up until that point. The one exception here is with international families, you still do have that 2-week option, but just know you would have to ship it back to us.
okay, great, thank you. Any other questions that anybody has? We still have a little bit of time if you want to submit them. If not, I'm just going to work my way through some questions that I've received on social media. So there is actually a question related to that 2-week trial. And so that is, would they expect to see any results or benefits in their child in a 2-week period? The question is they're wondering if 2 weeks is long enough of an assessment or trial.
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think what we've seen is 2 weeks is long enough to determine if this is going to work for your child. We can't say, yes, you will see all these great benefits within 2 weeks, because every kiddo is so unique. Some kids take longer to adjust and some take to it quite quickly. It just depends, where they're at. So we do think it is long enough for you to determine if it's a good fit. If you have concerns around it, if you're feeling, for whatever reason you're not convinced, it's just, just communicate with us. We're happy. Ultimately, we want to make sure this is a good fit for your child and that you're happy and confident with it. But yes, the 2-week window is typically enough.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I'm just going to go through a couple more questions. So another question that I have here is, what is the average wait time if they were to place an order right now until they could receive their Trexo?
I can start that answer and then I'll let the guys kind of chime in as well. But right now, when I talk to families, I am letting them know we are currently reserving for January delivery. But as we've mentioned several times during this webinar, fill out your assessment as soon as possible. Once we get you approved, then there is more variables there. It's very much dependent on what the families in front of you are doing. Some might need more time. Some, again, their kiddos are having surgery or they're fundraising, whatever the case may be. We go down the wait list in order of reservation. So I never want to overpromise and underdeliver and tell you you'll get it sooner. So I will always say January is our reservation time right now. But once we get those assessments, Jaydev and Alejandro are the ones looking through everything to make sure we have what we need for approval and going down the list.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we just had another question come in, so I'm going to jump over to that. So as each child is different, if we want to know if it will benefit them, do we contact you directly? My son has, I'm not sure if this is the letters, SCI, can't sit by himself. I'm scared to pay a lot of money in something that won't help him.
Yeah, you can reach out. I'm happy to chat with you. That's kind of one of the first steps is I usually talk to families, answer their questions. I am asking general information just to kind of get a better understanding if I think it would be a good fit. But ultimately, that's where we would, and there's certain things that are red flags that I will tell you that it's a no. Like I know certain things would rule a child out for the Trexo. But ultimately, I will look at that assessment form. So we would have you start there if we felt that it would be beneficial for you to move forward. And again, in that assessment, if we're looking at videos, measurements, background history, things like that to make sure it would benefit them. And if in that assessment we saw red flags, we'd go back and forth with you. And if we decided it wasn't a good fit, we would refund the deposit back to you. Otherwise, if we felt it was a good fit, we would continue forward. Just knowing, again, you have that 2-week window once you complete training with the Trexo, where if you're not happy with it, we'll pick it up, and when we get it back, we'll refund what you've paid. So you do have that peace of mind knowing that you're not stuck with it.
And I'll also say, for those of you that weren't on the first webinar and don't know, not only has Allicyn been working for Trexo for a long time and really knows her stuff professionally, her son uses a Trexo as well. So she has got a lot of personal experience. Mark in customer success is the same. His son has he uses the Trexo, so Mark has a lot of experience. So we're definitely an organization that cares about the kiddos, cares about the families, and we're not out just to make a sale. Everybody's going to give you real honest assessments. Okay, we had another question come in. What if the device gets too small for an international child? What happens then since we purchased the device?
So it's the same thing applies, even though you're international. We would talk to you about the cost of upgrading. So depending what size you started with and what size you would need to upgrade to, the upgrade fee would apply. And then we would just have to work out logistics from a shipping perspective, depending where you're at, who shipped it, shipping company, someone you're coming to get, all of those details. But it's essentially the same thing applies. And then if you needed a new Rifton, we would have the conversations of, is it cheaper for you to get it locally or get it from us?
Great, thank you. Okay, we have just a couple minutes left. Does anybody have any last questions they want to submit? And I want to take a second and thank you, Jaydev, Alejandro, and Allicyn for giving us great information today.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a pleasure to answer questions and give this information to everyone. And feel free to reach out to Allicyn in case of anything. And once you place down a reservation, Alejandro and I would be happy to answer any questions and help you through the whole process until you get the Trexo. So that's exciting.
Yeah. So I think the big takeaway from all of this is just really talk to us. It's such a custom thing. Every child is unique. Mark likes to say every child is a snowflake. And it's so true. And so really the team is here to help you and support you and get the best possible setup for your kiddo. So definitely talk to us, reach out to us. And I think that's it for today. So thank you guys all for attending. I will be getting the recording out of the first and this webinar as well, and the resource sheet with some information from the first webinar and from here as well. Thank you, everybody. And thank you for answering the poll.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.